Good evening, everybody. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. I'm not sure how long this will be. I don't have a long battery life right now, but I wanted to point out some things and then read something to you. I've had a really busy day the last few days. I'm getting quotes on repairing a building that the perpetrators have damaged. And as some of you know, I had guinea hens delivered and some barred rock hens delivered, and they're all doing fine. I walked into my field to water some of the fruit and vegetables that I'm growing, and when I returned, one of the guinea hen babies was dead, soft to the touch, in the food dish. There was nothing wrong with these hens, but that's what these criminals do. I'll show you what else the criminals do, and then I'll get on to what I wanted to discuss. And, I hope you follow along on this. So, I'm a gardener. I have been growing this Meyer lemon tree for months, and each time it grows, the perpetrators destroy it. There's one lemon there, but there were two when I went to sleep last night up here. And you could see that the tree is not doing well. Leaves are being torn off of it. That's what these criminals do. They're destroying the fig tree here. But this is the other masterpiece that the criminals did. They poured some kind of chemicals on the grass and on my front lawn here. And they do it sporadically all around the entire property. And overnight, they decided that they were going to extend the hole here. This hole they created months ago. And no matter what I do, I've transplanted things here, and it's just not growing because they keep pouring chemicals here. But then they decided they're going to add on to it here and here. Let's just make it a little bit bigger. And then here. So folks, I wanted to, this is going to be a little fuzzy because I'm very upset over this baby that was, I believe, murdered. This little baby chickie. I'd like to think that maybe it was an accident, but there was nothing wrong with any of these babies. And all I did was go out into my field here to water some of the plants, and when I returned and went to check on them, I found one dead. So, last week I was finally able to hire somebody and cut all of this grass. But the criminals have done a number on my riding lawnmower. They sliced the leather seat last summer. They drilled holes into the, it's like a plastic cover where the grass, spews out. They drilled a hole through that, a hole through my leaf collector. They tore the insulation out of the leaf collector. They cracked the carburetor, punctured holes in the tires last year, and have scratched or etched into the lawnmower. And I've taken many photos of them. They're Illuminati symbols. One of them looks like AI. This is the AI symbol that they use. But they also do triangles, and this is satanic. It's really despicable. But what I wanted to discuss tonight are a couple of flyers that my friend Karen Stewart sent me today. She's actually been on a roll. Karen Stewart is a retired NSA analyst. She worked there for 28 years. She's very well known in the targeted individual community as being an activist, extensive letter writer to politicians, and she's very well known for creating flyers. And I'm about to read a couple of flyers for the audience, and anybody that wants a copy of this can email me at alternativehomesteading@gmail.com. So here we go, folks. I think I'm going to sit down over here. We'll sit down here. Hello, Bandit. Hi, big boy. And the chickies are getting ready for bed. So we're going to sit here. And I'm going to read these flyers. Okay, this one is called, it's called American Sheeple. She wrote it in 2020. Karen M. Stewart, NSA Intelligence Analyst, retired. I would venture to say that she knows a thing or two about this, right, folks? How easy it is to get Americans to betray each other. Betray each other's constitutional, civil, and human rights. Pretty damned easy. Just ask the people in this town and in this neighborhood in which you live who take bribes daily to do so. You see, the Department of Homeland Security is running a huge scam in this country through the FBI-run fusion centers, which they created in every state after 9/11. Supposedly, the feds and local authorities fuse, quote unquote, or share information there about terrorist threats. Quote, see something, say something, unquote. However, since their creation, fusion centers have been a giant black hole for billions upon billions of dollars, which they somehow have never been able to account for. Their bread and butter is what's called, quote, a suspicious activity report, SAR. Theoretically, 1 to 2 people can report, quote, suspicious activity, unquote, even a vague definition, and it supposedly will be investigated by professionals. If found of concern, the FBI submits a request to the now infamous FISA court. They get a warrant to surveil the person. Then the fusion center personnel, quote, investigate, unquote, and take action to collect evidence, arrest, or neutralize the threat. How often has that actually happened, that a bona fide threat was authenticated and neutralized? Never. That's right, folks. Never. Then where is all that taxpayer money going? Well, it goes to building more and more fusion centers. There are 80 and growing right now. Hiring more and more officials, giving them nice offices and unwarranted prestige, buying them expensive cars, pretty little uniforms, nice shiny ties, and bigger budgets. And more, quote, power, unquote, to boss everyone around, just like the Gestapo. In actuality, there has never been enough terrorists inside the United States, USA, to rate such an explosion in the police state. However, the real job of the fusion centers is to manufacture terrorist threats. Yes, fabricate. Fusion centers have infiltrated everywhere you can imagine to set up snitch networks. But these civilian mercenaries among who you live are actually paid and trained in the art of vicious harassment. It's called Zersetzung. And covert torture and murder with high-tech weapons made for the battlefield, now in the hands of greedy little civilian monkeys thanks to this scam. Right, Bandit? What do you think, boy? Let's read on. Instead of investigating a real incident or person, fusion centers merely pick a convenient victim and fabricate a false dossier to use as the reason, a ruse, to persecute, torture, and murder the victim judiciously outside of the law, for profit. In fact, since 9/11, this persecution network has become so expansive that no known location is outside its reach. To keep such a vast network busy, we must have hundreds of thousands of victims, if not millions, with several million low-life wannabes, thugs, fools, sociopaths enlisted into the ranks of the secret fusion center citizen assassins. Never mind that secret standing armies hide among the populace are totally unconstitutional. They are in fact considered insurgents, as those who are paying and directing them. And insurgents are traitors. Let's say that again, folks. I like that sentence. Insurgents are traitors. The military-industrial complex, MIC, has finally succeeded in creating that ideal money-making, never-ending war on you and me, with no need to even send troops overseas or continually fabricate various justifications. All we need to do is just expand into Homeland Security, turn the FBI fully loose on the American people as predators that they have always been, and enlist fusion center Gestapo-minded, petty potentiates to further enlist the moral, intellectual, and character-challenged dregs of society into the greatest army of cowards the world has ever known, in order to prey on the decent people, to cull the herd of humanity of some of its very best, because they do not fit into the MIC envisioned dystopia of future as the fusion center's probate proxies do. Now, with the COVID-19 hyped false flag ploy to strip you of even the pretense of your freedoms, the FAW medical arm of the MIC police state Gestapo is expanding their secret citizen army with another tentacle called, quote, contact tracers, unquote. Clearly the same people that are training this army of intimidators and snitches as trained the Fusion Center civilian snitch assassins, and likely Antifa. The wolves meant to drive the sheep into their pens for permanent safety under the new overlord's watchful eye. We are here on the brink of a complete tyranny because as a people, we could not have each other's backs, live and let live, nor respect each other as human beings. A significant and alarming amount of our neighbors, under certain circumstances, see others merely as easy prey and are so eagerly bought into preposterous fusion center lies that their targeted neighbors suddenly are terrorists, pedophiles, traitors, making the undermining and destruction of America fully possible when no outside enemy could have. They are the same type of, quote, useful idiots, unquote, the Bolsheviks used to sink Russia into socialist totalitarian rule for decades a century ago. And since the Russian useful idiots were correctly identified as immoral sellouts and money whores, they were exterminated by their new overlords once they had served their purpose and put their psychopath masters into power. Fusion center sellouts are hence useful idiots and traitors. Okay, folks, so what do you think of that? I've got one more to read, and then I've got to get my chickens to bed and the sun is going down. You can see, look how pretty it looks. I'm sure it'll just be a few hours before the drones surface. And yes, folks, there are drones that fly over at night. I've witnessed it. Now here's another stellar flyer written by Karen Stewart. It's called Busybodies, Vigilantes, Mercenaries, Whores, Sociopaths, and Psychopaths. Oh, well, okay. A busybody is an empty person looking to find fulfillment by obsessively butting into somebody else's life, uninvited, and to purposely misinterpret what is going on so that he or she can get desperately desired attention from others who would otherwise have no regard for them by spreading judgmental gossip about another person they do not know, as if it's from authoritative knowledge, which they do not have. The person is petty and sick, not morally accepted in society. That is a busybody. A vigilante. A vigilante dismisses proper legal procedures, rule of law, legal authority, and other civil, human, and constitutional rights to egotistically serve himself and his own selfish or her selfish and often dishonest agenda, but then outrageously pretends that he or she is somehow above the law and is therefore some kind of crusader, when more often than not, he or she is empty, simply covering up their own unacceptable, degenerate, and criminal behavior by leading the charge against an innocent scapegoat. A mercenary. A mercenary is a sociopath, paid to harm others for a cowardly third party. It makes absolutely no difference to him or her if his target is innocent or if his patron is guilty of the most despicable crimes, though he may pretend that his cause is just, to justify his own greed, sadism, and utter complete depravity. That is a mercenary. A whore, sort of like the gift card whores. A whore will take money or other rewards to do absolutely anything, no matter how despicable, perverted, cruel, or depraved, and with no qualms about who is hurt. That is a whore. A sociopath is totally devoid of benevolent human emotions and does only what serves his own desires and needs, regardless of whether he harms others needlessly or even on purpose. To him or her, other people are just there to serve his or her needs, and if they do not, they simply have no worth. That is a sociopath. Now we're on to a psychopath. A psychopath is a sociopath on steroids. The emotions they enjoy are not only sadism, cruelty, egotism, and narcissism. They feel almost alive the more they harm others needlessly. They love to try to build their worthless selves up by complete lies, manipulations, deceits, con artists, con jobs, scams, and pretending to be the exact opposite of what they are. It is a thrill for them to pretend to be decent people, knowing they're rabid dogs on a hunt and fooling the simpletons. That is a psychopath. This is an open letter to my neighbors, many of whom satisfy the above definitions. Many of you have felt the need to butt into my life, spread false narratives, and wreak havoc, harm, murder my pets, and yes, even try to set me up as well as harm me. And yet I have done nothing to you. I do not even know you. You are the ones being played for fools and whores that you are, apparently born to be. You are the ones guilty of degeneracy, crimes, unfounded hatred, unfounded hostility, unfounded judgmentalism, conspiracy to deprive of rights, conspiracy to torture, conspiracy to harass, conspiracy to harm, conspiracy to murder for a third party. Which spun out